Hello and welcome to another episode of my quest system series. In today's episode we are going to set it up so that we can select different quests and subgoals and afterwards test to see what our quest system is currently capable of. Let's start by going to our BP Quest Manager blueprint, right click somewhere here and let's add a custom event. Call that on switch subquest. Also, we will later need some variables in here, so let's create them right now. The first one we will call current quest, which will be of the type master quest reference. Then we will need quest actors, so an array of all of our current quests. Make that an array and BP master quest. Then an all quest classes. That will be an array of BP master quest classes and will store all of the quests that we once accepted so that we cannot accept the same quest twice. Then we'll also need a current subgoal variable. The type for that will be s_goal_info and it will not be an array. Finally, the last variable will be called current goal actor and it will be a goal BP goal actor reference. Then let's compile, save and close our quest manager because we will now go to our quest widget and add some functions there. The first one will be called current quest question mark. It will be a pure function with an output of the type boolean called out. So that function will just return whether this is the widget for the currently selected quest. To check, we will drag in the assign quest and search for double equal. And let's compare that to the quest manager's current quest. Then just plug that in for our out. We'll also need a function to select subgoals. So let's call that select subgoal and give that an input called clicked subgoal. The type for that will be subgoal widget reference. And first we will check whether we already have a selected subgoal that is valid. If it is, we will get the border, goal border, and set content, color and opacity. Then we will make that white and for the alpha type in 0.5. Connect that to the isValid. After that, let's get the select button from a selected subgoal and set is enabled to true. So that's it for the isValid path. If it's not valid, we will check whether the clicked subgoal is valid. So let's connect that to the isNotValid path and to the set is enabled. If it's not, we will just set our selected subgoal to null and afterwards return. But if it is valid, let's set our selected subgoal to the incoming clicked subgoal. Connect that here. Then get its goal border again. Set content, color and opacity again to white, but this time with an alpha of 1. Also, let's get the select button and set is enabled to false. Afterwards, drag in the assigned quest and set selected subgoal index. The index will be the selected subgoal's goal index. So we updated that. And then we'll only need to drag in our quest manager and call on switch subquest before we return. Then there's only one function left in here that we need to create, called onQuestSelected. So what happens when we select the quest that this widget is created for? And we will just drag in the quest name, set is enabled to true. So if a quest is not selected, the quest name will be displayed in gray. Also create an input for that function, which will be a subgoal widget called subgoal. And then we'll call the function we just created called select subgoal. And the clicked subgoal will be the incoming subgoal. Afterwards, let's return. Compile, save, and close the quest widget. Then let's go back to our blueprints actors to the BP Quest Manager. Here let's create a function called select new quest that will have two inputs. First will be the quest, that is a BP underscore master quest reference, and then the associated subgoal, which will be a subgoal widget reference. And again, we will first check whether we already have a current quest that is valid. If it is, let's get the quest widget of that, get the name, quest name, and set is enabled to false. Let's also drag off of the quest widget once more and search for select subgoal, the function, and we will leave the clicked subgoal as null to reset that. Afterwards, we will set the current quest to the incoming quest, connect that to the isValid path and the isNotValid path, and then we will get the quest widget of that and call onQuestSelected. Then we'll only need to connect the subgoal from our input node, and afterwards let's return. That's it for this function. Compile and save. Next one will be add new quest. We'll have two inputs. First, the quest class, which will be a BP underscore master quest class. And the next one will be a boolean called directly start question mark. First, let's promote the quest class to a local variable called local class, and the boolean to a local variable called start, or local start, whatever you want. Actually, one thing I forgot is to create an output node for that called success, which will be a boolean. So where we're able to add that quest. After we promoted our local variables, we will add a branch, and this will check whether the incoming quest class is valid and that our all quest classes array does not contain the quest class. So after the contains, add a not node and connect that to the end. Then connect the end to the condition, and if it's false, we will return with false. If it's true, however, let's drag in our all quest classes and add to it. We will then, of course, add our local class before we spawn an actor from class. Again, that will be the local class. Split the spawn transform and leave everything at 0. And also set the collision handling override to always spawn ignore collisions. And we can promote the return value to a local variable called local quest actor. And drag in our quest actors array, add to it. The new element will be the local quest actor. Then let's drag in the local quest actor once again and call setup starting goals. So we will initialize that quest, then drag in the main widget and add quest to list. The quest actor will be the local quest actor. And then let's copy that over and set its quest widget variable to the return value of the add quest to list function. Also off of the quest widget, call update then. Afterwards add another branch. The condition for that will either be that local start is true or that our quest actor's length is less than or equal to 1. Which means that we had no current quest before, so we will directly start with the one we just added. Connect that to the branch. If it's false, just return this time with successful. But if it's true, we will call select new quest. The quest will be the local quest actor, and we will of course start with the first subgoal, and to get that we will get the quest widget of the local quest actor, get the subgoal widgets, and off of that get add index 0, then connect that to the subgoal. Afterwards we will also return with true. Compile and save that. Now we can close our BP Quest Manager and go to our widgets, subgoal widget, because we will need to select that when our select button is pressed. So let's add an onClicked for that. And first we will check whether this is a subgoal of the currently selected quest. So get the quest widget and search for current quest. Add a branch and connect that. If it is the current quest, we will just copy over the quest widget and call select subgoal. The clicked subgoal will then be a reference to ourselves. But if it's not the currently selected quest, we will need to drag in our quest widget, get the quest manager, and then call select new quest. The quest will be the assigned quest, and the subgoal again a reference to ourselves. Compile and save. That's everything for our widget setup. To test this, we will first need to create our first quest class. So let's go to our actors, quest actors, right click on BP master quest, create child blueprint class. Let's call that our quest underscore test 1 and open that. Then let's expand the quest info here and let's give that a name, something like my first quest ever ... Yeah, it can be a main quest for now. We don't need to worry about description, region or completion reward just yet, neither for the suggested level and difficulty, but we will need to add some subgoals to test our system. Let's add one. And to see whether our templates are working or not, let's uncheck custom goal and for example select the hunt template. Then for the additional name we only need to type in the monster name. That could be something like dragon, and the amount to hunt set to 9 or something. Also we don't need a goal location currently, so just leave it like that. Let's add another subgoal that will be of the type find. It will not have a custom goal and the additional name will be hidden treasure. Let's add another subgoal again, this time of the type talk. The additional name will then be the NPC name. We will just call him Legolas from Lord of the Rings. Also uncheck custom goal. And finally we'll need to check whether our custom type is also working, so let's add another one. Type will be custom, custom goal will be checked, and then we can type in some goal text. For example, at 8 PM sneak into the enemy's camp and destroy it. Here we will not need an additional name. Then we will also need to tell the quest that it starts with all of the sub-goals available at the same time. So expand our starting sub-goal indices, and we will add 3 elements, so we have 4 in there. For index 1, type in 1, for 2, 2, and for 3, 3. Then we can compile save and go to a third person character to add some debugging inputs here. We will need a key to add that quest. I'll just use the G key. So when G is pressed, we will get our quest manager reference and add quest. The quest will be our quest test 1, and we can check directly start or uncheck it, doesn't matter. Put a comment around that, G to add a quest. Also for the third person template, we don't start with our mouse shown, so we'll need to set up an input for that. Let's add a variable called widget input, question mark. And then up here let's search for I. So when we press I, we'll go into a flip-flop, meaning that the first time we execute this, A will be fired, then B, and then again A. For A, we will get the player controller at index 0 and set input mode game and UI. The in widget to focus can be a main widget. It will be set to do not look and uncheck hide cursor during capture. Then let's drag off of the get player controller once again and set show mouse cursor, because we want to see that. So let's check it. And we will set our widget input to true. Then let's copy the 2 nodes over and uncheck them. Connect the target to the player controller. And we will search for set input mode game only. Connect that to the B and the input mode to the set show mouse cursor node. Then let's put a comment around that. I to show / hide mouse cursor. Also, a player would currently be able to turn around while the mouse cursor is visible, which we don't want. So let's go down here to mouse input. Let's move that over a bit and expand that. Here we will drag in the widget input and add a branch. Connect that, and only if it's false we will add controller yaw input. Copy that for lookup. Connect the widget input again and the false to the add controller pitch input. Then let's hit compile, save, and play test what we got so far. So our player is currently walking around. You can see our minimap. If we hit G, you can see my first quest ever. It color indicates that it's the main quest, and we see that currently hunt dragons, 0 of 9 is selected. If we hit I, a cursor appears and we cannot move around anymore, and we can hit that little buttons here to select different sub-goals of our quest. To see that we can also select different quests, we will need to create another one. So let's go to our actors, master quest, create child blueprint, quest underscore test 2. Open that up. Name will be the second quest, really creative today. Make that a side quest this time maybe and add 1 sub goal to it. Make it custom goal and type in this is the second quest. Really doesn't matter. Then we can hit compile, save, and go back to our test 1. Let's actually make that an event now, so we can see the different colors appearing. Let's go to a third person character, and when we hit G, we will go into a flip-flop as well. Connect it to the A, And for B, we will add new quest. Let's actually hit directly start this time. And we will select test 2. Compile, save and play. When we hit G first, my first quest ever appears. It's colored red because we set it up to be an event this time. If we hit G once again, the second quest appears. And as you can see, it was directly selected because we set it up like that. The first quest, however, now appears gray because it's not selected. If we hit I, we can select different quest or go back to our second quest. Alright, that's it for this episode. Thank you for watching and see you in the next video.